Sean Gibbons is the Director of Media Strategy at the Center for American Progress in Washington. That's John Podesta's think tank, and joins us now from Washington. Sean, welcome to the program.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. All right, Sean, so, listen, we were on the Filibuster Show, and you came on at one point, and you mentioned something in passing that honestly has stuck with me for apparently many, many months. And every time I think about it, I think, we got to get Sean back on the show and talk about that. And so, here
we are.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Sean, you worked at CNN for 8 years. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
And before that, many years at ABC.
That's right.
And what was your last title at CNN?
I was the Washington producer for Anderson Cooper's show.
Okay. Anderson Cooper, who, by the way, I know you...
He's on the cover of Vanity Fair. Don't he look pretty?
Yeah, one could argue.
Is it true he's Asian?
It is true that he is taller than you think he is.
Okay. No, I'd say Anderson Cooper, I'm getting a little annoyed at how genuine he's trying to appear. But that's an entirely separate issue.
You know what? Just in fairness, and I did this last time with Tucker, Anderson's a very good guy.
That's what
he's a very good guy.
I know a lot of people still in news, and I can't find one who says anything but nice things about Anderson Cooper.
I know. So somebody, consultant, producer, somebody, give him the memo that he doesn't have to try to look so earnest every time, like, I'm so concerned.
Worked for Bill Clinton.
Isn't that refreshing in a New Yorker, though?
Yeah, I mean, look, I would like to say
not really. Okay.
Not really. All right, well, let's get to the meat and potatoes. You guys wanted to talk to me not about Anderson Cooper and his latest photo spread, right?
Exactly.
Which I bet is very good.
Okay, right. Moving on. So, Sean, you mentioned in passing during the Filibuster Show that when you were at CNN, at some point, a certain group of Republicans came into CNN and had a meeting with CNN about how they would be covered. Now, you're going to have to correct everything I've gotten wrong and clarify things that I have left vague. So first, when was this?
This would be, gosh, shortly after the Republican takeover in Congress, back when, so we're talking probably 1997-ish, right around there.
Oh, that's interesting, 1997. So when Bill Clinton was still president, but they had just taken over the House and the Senate. No,
yeah,
just
and
the House.
It could have been a little bit later than that. It was roughly when Fox News started getting going, so it was around that time period.
Huh, that's interesting. That's an interesting connection as well. And do you remember who the Republicans were that came in to talk to CNN?
Well, actually, they didn't come. So, in fairness, let me try to clean up the story a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
Walter Isaacson had recently been named president of CNN when this meeting took place.
Mm-hmm.
He has since left, and he's gone on to the Aspen Institute, which is a terrific organization. But Walter had come up from Time magazine, and it was my understanding that he was called onto the Hill. He kept his offices down in Atlanta. He came up to me on a special trip to Washington, and he met with Republican leaders, including Newt Gingrich and several now other departed members of Congress, to discuss CNN's coverage of Republicans. And in essence, what they expressed to him was their disenchantment with the network's coverage. They felt that it was unfair, that the network had become unbalanced, and that it was their inclination to encourage their caucus to go to Fox News to give interviews. Not with really necessarily the sense of exclusivity, but there was an understanding that if CNN didn't alter its coverage or the tenor of its coverage, that the Republicans would be quite content to get cozy with Fox. Now, I have to say, this was shocking at the time, but in the wake of an Abramoff scandal, in the wake of the Duke Cunningham scandal, in the wake of WMD that wasn't there, everything else that's eclipsed this.
Well, it's also in the way...
It's only part and parcel of, I think, the Republican machine. I mean, it's sort of a piece of the puzzle, right? You have the K Street Project, you have the Abramoff bit. The fact that Republicans went to CNN and said, we don't like the way you're covering us, and we're going to go elsewhere. And by the way, our buddy Roger Ailes is running Fox News these days. And let's remember, Roger used to run all the media operations for every Republican candidate going back to Reagan, and was an operative in the Nixon White House going way back. Not terribly surprising that they would, given the sort of cronyism that has come to bear in the last 10 to 12 years, that this would be something that might happen.
It's also not surprising given 8 years of now viewing Fox News.
Hey, they're winning.
But obviously that's what happened.
All right, no, but nonetheless, this is something.
But there is a chilling effect there. Yeah, it's absolutely shocking.
first of all, again, more clarification. Was it just the House side, or do you know if the Republican
I think
senators?
it was both. It's rare network presidents get called to the carpet. My impression was that it was both Senate leadership and House leadership.
I understand. And did Walter Isaacson ever come back and say anything about the meeting? And do you know if he was the only person from CNN at the meeting?
I don't think he was. It would be rare that a meeting like that nature would go off without the Washington bureau chief being there, as they're sort of charged with ultimately managing those relationships.
Do you remember who the Washington bureau chief was at the time?
97? Gosh, I don't. I think it was probably Kathy. I don't. I don't want to name a name and misidentify somebody.
So how did you learn?
There have been a few. I hate to say it, but unfortunately CNN's gone through quite a few leadership changes in the last couple of years.
I hear you. We're talking to Sean Gibbons. He's now the Director of Media Strategy for the Center for American Progress, but he worked at CNN for 8 years, including the years that this meeting took place. Ben, you were about to...
So, Sean, how did you learn what had happened?
It was it wasn't even newsroom scuttlebutt. It was common knowledge. In fact, there was quite a bit of concern going into the meeting. They'd called it. The expectation was that would be what would happen, and it was borne out. That was the substance of the meeting.
And what was your sense of how the network reacted to it, how Isaacson reacted to it, and then how
Well, I think actually, the best way to look at it is to take the long view. CNN had at that time only a couple of programs that featured clearly Republican commentators, Crossfire being the one that immediately comes to mind, Pat Buchanan, Bob Novak, those folks, both of whom were no longer with the network. But in the time since then, there's been a concerted effort to place more and more Republican voices out there. And let's be honest, news channels tend to go where they have access. CNN's access, to my mind, has been limited in the last few years. When the president wants to sit down and give an exclusive interview with the vice president, for instance, wants to talk about shooting somebody in the face, he doesn't ring up John King. He calls Fox News.
Right. Well, first of all, that's an unrealistic example. The vice president would never shoot anybody in the face. But I hear what you're saying.
So I think, quite frankly, whether or not this meeting was successful, the effect has come to bear. The fruit is hung low on the tree. You start to see now people like J.C. Watts, Tory Clark, people who are longtime Republican operatives who are now CNN employees.
Bill Bennett,
and
Glenn
work
Beck.
as commentators on what people presume are normal news shows, like The Situation Room, that sort of thing.
Bill Bennett's on there, of course. He's countered by Donna Brazile and Paul Begala when he's on, but now apparently Glenn Beck has a 1-hour program just by himself on CNN Headline News. Right. Here's the part that I'm having a little trouble getting my mind around. How do we know what happened in the meeting? Because I doubt that Isaacson comes out and does...
walks into the newsroom and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I've got good news and I've got better news."
Right.
The good news is I've just met with the Republican leadership, and gosh darn it, they like me. Yeah. The better news is they're going to start coming on our channel again just as soon as we change our programming. No, I think that the end of that meeting, there were some people who were privy to it. There were conversations. Look, I mean, newsrooms are probably the best gossip mills going, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's like in your radio studios, but there's no such thing as clean laundry in a CNN newsroom. News travels fast. And so, quite frankly, it was executive scuttlebutt for about 2.5 seconds before it was widely known what the substance of those conversations were. It also wasn't tremendously surprising. I mean, as I say, the meeting was called. There was a certain expectation that that's what would go down.
Right.
They certainly didn't provide us a transcript at the end of it, but that was the up and up of it. And shortly thereafter, you started to see more Republican leaders agreeing to come on our programs, where in the past we had a difficult time booking them. And additionally, you saw more and more, as we've started to see even more lately, hires by people who came from a decidedly political background, and that background being sort of the red ilk.
Right. We're talking to Sean Gibbons. He's the Director of Media Strategy at the Center for American Progress now, but he worked at CNN for 8 years, including the years that we're talking about. Did you also, Sean, see a direct result, or, as best as you could gather, on air with how the Republicans were treated? Did you get a sense that the interviews were, for lack of a better word, softer or less challenging?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think that you've seen that throughout the Bush presidency. It was the press operation there has in many ways been a rather vindictive one, right? You print something that we don't like, going all the way back to the Bush comment about the New York Times reporter. where Bush or Cheney made reference to someone being a major a-hole, and Bush saying totally, or something to that effect.
Right.
I think I may be offering up a skewed version of that, but
No,
the upshot of it
right.
being they've never been terribly kind.
By the way, it was Adam Clymer, and he said that guy's a major a-hole, and Bush said big time.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Cheney said big time, didn't he?
I thought it was the other way around.
I think it was the other way around.
Yeah.
But there has been a concerted effort on the Bush administration to punish those people who they feel have not given them fair coverage, and fair coverage is favorable coverage in their mind.
Of course. And so, did the scuttlebutt, as you said, around the office was the Republicans have made this request/demand, but as far as you understand, it was not an ultimatum. It was just wink, wink, we're very serious about this. You're going to have real trouble getting Republicans on, but not, if you don't do this, you'll never get another Republican on CNN.
I think it was something along the lines of a recognition that part and parcel of this was that there was competition coming to CNN. In years past, CNN was a network that existed in a vacuum, right? It was a monopoly. If you wanted to go talk to the world, the biggest megaphone was CNN's, and by the way, it was the only one. So it was quite easy as a CNN producer to call someone over in the West Wing of the White House and say, hey, well, listen, we understand there's trouble brewing over, name your part of the world. Would someone from the NSC want to come down and have a chat with us? And, within a few minutes, someone would come bounding down to the lawn and hop in front of the camera and offer us their thoughts.
Right.
That changed, decidedly so with the advent of Fox, but particularly with the Republicans gaining control of Congress and even more so the White House in 2000. What really seemed to happen was suddenly they had a choice of where they could go if they wanted to make news, such as it is. And increasingly, they went to Fox. I think there was a tremendous amount of pressure on the executives at CNN to stem the tide. At that time, Fox was number 2, but gaining quickly. And in the years now since then, Fox has ultimately overtaken CNN, and they've been trying desperately to regain the lead.
Well, before we let you go, we're talking to Sean Gibbons, Director of Media Strategy at the Center for American Progress. Give us your assessment of sort of CNN's coverage now, what you've seen in the last, say, 2 years or since 2000.
I have a real short answer for that. I'm not working there, right?
Yeah.
I think that probably tells you as much as you need to know. Natalie Holloway wasn't worth giving up nights and weekends away from my family.
Yeah.
Was my ultimate judgment. I think CNN has gotten away from its mission a little bit. I wouldn't say just CNN. I'd say all of the cable channels.
What about in terms of politics? Do you see any slant in either direction? Do you see fairness?
I think that there has been, and I don't think that this is just a function of CNN. I think it's true in electronic media writ large, that there's been a lessening of some of the standards. It used to be that there was a real effort to school the younger folks, and I hate to say it, but I guess I'm no longer among them. But in how things were done, and how if you put a Republican on the air, you had to, within that very same half an hour, go get a Democrat and make sure you had that comment on the air in the interest of balance. That sort of edict doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, all right.
It's interesting. So if the Republicans are in charge, you put them on, and that's what it is, and that's the sad thing for everybody else.
What about then the concept of, because I hear you on that, and that makes a great deal of sense. I care less about that than a reporter sort of doing his homework, or an anchor, whoever's doing the questioning, if we're just talking about a live cast and not a piece, not a story. But, and then asking whoever that person is sort of challenging questions that sort of make them defend their position, under fire. Appropriate questions, not outrageous questions. Do you see that? Because I don't see it, but you probably...
I don't, and I got to tell you, actually, I think the trend has increasingly gone towards debate formats, where the anchor doesn't ask questions, they play mediator in what ultimately often becomes a big shout fest, right? Where you, in fact, it happens quite a lot here at the Center for American Progress, where we'll get a phone call requesting someone to come on a program on one of the cable channels, and they're looking not necessarily for their expertise. They're asking, are you a liberal? If so, okay, we've got a Republican. Let's put the two of you together. It's kind of like putting two scorpions in a jar and just watching them duel it out.
I don't know how that became sort of...
I'm not entirely sure that that's journalism, but
exactly.
It is entertaining, and it seems to be what the audience wants, and that increasingly is what is guiding judgments within a lot of newsrooms.
Sean, last question for you. The understanding in the newsroom when you worked at CNN at the time was that, you've explained the meeting and what happened at the meeting, at least the understanding within the CNN newsroom of what happened at the meeting. Was there also an understanding that Isaacson and the CNN executives at the time pretty much consented to what the Republicans had asked for, and thought, yes, we will do our best in doing what you've requested of us and giving you more favorable treatment on CNN?
Yeah, the short answer to that, yes.
All right, fair enough. Those are the questions I had, and I don't know if other people are aware of this. I was not aware that this meeting happened, and I think that it's.
Well, this was pre-blogosphere, so there used to be secrets out there in the world. I'm not sure that there are so many anymore.
Well, I'm glad you came on, Sean, and let us talk about this.
I hope I was as entertaining as you guys sold me as.
Sean,
yes, indeed, it was quite fascinating.
You've exceeded expectations, Sean.
All right, Sean Gibbons, Director of Media Strategy at the Center for American Progress. Thank you so much for coming on the Young Turks.
Hey, my pleasure. Go Nationals.
All right, thank you.